Hello, everybody. How are you? How are you? Hope you can hear me and everything looks okay. You can let me know. Hi, Joan. Hi, Linda and Tim. Hi, Purple Nan and Linda. Good to see you all. Hi, Connie. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for being here. I am sporting the hat today. Yeah, I love this hat. I got this hat we went to an art retreat center in Tennessee, and I bought it there. I get comments every time I wear it, and the best one was from a little girl when we were in Colorado over Christmas. Little girl. I was in the bathroom. It was colder than get out. I'll get out. Man, it was cold. Yeah. Anyway, a bunch of people we were with were going skiing. I've never skied in my life. Don't get it. Not my thing. Don't get it. Never want to do that. It was interesting to go. Kind of. It was not my thing. I don't like being cold. I don't like being cold. Anyway, I had on enough layers to keep me warm because I figured I was going to freeze to death even though I wasn't on the ski slope. And there was hardly any snow, and it was just, all I can say is it wasn't my thing. We went to a different ski slope a few days later. Really enjoyed that one. It was much nicer place and so forth. But anyway, doesn't matter. All beside the point. So I was in the bathroom at the ski slope, and if you ever put on 5 million layers, exaggeration, but if you put on all these layers, you know how hard it is to go to the bathroom, so you wait till the last minute because you gotta peel down to get to the important things. Anyway, I'm in the bathroom washing my hands. This little girl next to me says, "I love your hat." She might have been 9. She said, "Can I see it?" And she looked at it and she read it. And I said, "Do you do art?" And she goes, "Yes." I said, "You get it then." And she goes, "Yes, I do." Yeah, so it was pretty funny. Oh, thank you. Band-Aid, who are you? Tell me your name. Let's see. That's Evelyn. Is Evelyn. Okay, got it. Saw it. I don't know why it changed. You never know. You never know. They're like Joan said, they're constantly changing stuff, so who knows. Hello, Ruth. Good to see you. I'm glad you're here, as always. Oh. Sorry, I just saw something on the floor, and I'm like, what is that? Anyway, so, sporting the hat today. Yeah, sporting the hat. Which means I didn't have time to do my hair. That's what that means. Anyhow, it's good to have you guys here. It is Friday. Hello, Angela. ARH is Angela. Good to have you here. I don't know how long I will have this little jacket on. I like it, but I don't know how long I'll be able to tolerate it. It's made out of something that doesn't breathe very well, so I can already feel that I'm going to have to switch to a flannel shirt that breathes. So if I come back in a different shirt in a few minutes, you'll know why. Anyway, so a couple things before we get started. We have some good changes coming up here shortly, but the first thing I need to tell you is I have to look on my calendar. We are taking a trip, and we'll have somebody staying here at the house to take care of the cats, because that's what we have right now is 4 cats, all mostly outdoors. 3 of them come in, 1 of them will not, but we still have to have somebody here to take care of them. Anyway, we're leaving So I will not be here next Friday, which is the 20th. I will not be here the Monday after that or the Friday after that. So I will be gone the 20th, the 23rd, and the 27th. If you're interested and want to mark a calendar, I will be here. I will be here this coming Monday, but I will be gone those other dates. So 2 Fridays and a Monday. Okay? All right. Oh, do we, Linda? There you go. I love these, but, man, this is going to have to probably go. But, it's Valentine's Day tomorrow, so I thought, I better look like kind of Valentine-ish. Anyhow. So, that's one thing. So, I'll be gone next Friday, the Monday after that, and the Friday after that. I will be here this coming Monday, however, in the evening, 7 p.m. Eastern. Hello, Mickey. Good to see you. Thank you all for coming. I am glad that you're here. Does the sound okay to you guys? I hope. Let me know in the chat if you would. Tomorrow, I sent out an email a little while ago, earlier this morning actually, that we are having a VIP member meeting tomorrow afternoon. I know it's Valentine's Day. It is truly the only time I could figure out when to do it this month. And so we are going to have a meeting tomorrow. I have some important information for VIP members to give you in that meeting. And also I have a class. And so that's happening. The sound is good. Okay. Thank you. So this is the little class that we're going to be doing tomorrow. This is fabric. It is a fabric gift box or storage box, but this is what we're going to do tomorrow. It is hand painted, and so we're going to do that tomorrow in the class. So if you're a VIP member, I hope you can be there. And let's see, anything else? I don't think of anything else. Okay. All right. So, couple of goofy things, and then we'll get started because we're going to make a funky heart today. I don't know how it'll turn out because I've never done it before, so we're just going to do it. Couple of funny things. As I have moved and consolidated some of my stuff with Elton because we are married. We got married 16 months ago or 15 months ago. I don't know. 16 months ago. Tomorrow, I think. Something like that. Okay? My math. I don't math real well. Anyhow, it is fun. It's a fun little box. We consolidated my insurance with his. And so I called the company that I was paying for all the insurance with and canceled it after the house was sold, and then canceled when we decided that financially the best thing for us to do was to be on his insurance for my car. Okay. So we did that. Then I called the company to cancel my car insurance. And that was okay. They were lovely. And about a week later, I got 2 checks in the mail from the company. 2. And so the first one, I don't know, it was like for $100, and the second one was for $500. And I'm like, that is bizarre. And so I read the thing, and the description said, we've enclosed the attached refund check for your insurance policy. And then it goes on to explain that it is for the amount of money that's currently owed because of the excess that was paid on the insurance policy. And I'm like, that sounds really strange. But I waited a few days, and then I went ahead and banked the checks, So I'm like, I was just really grateful for that. And then about a week after that, I got a notice from my bank with a canceled payment, stop payment. And they had stopped payment on the $500 check. And I'm like, that is very strange. Why is that? So I called the company and I said, can you please tell me why you sent me a check and then you stopped payment on it? And they said, well, it was a mistake. And I said, so this is a mistake on your part? Yes. And I said, it would have been nice to know that. And she said, well, I have a note here that we called the number on file and let them know. Well, I was not the number on file. My son was the number on file. Therefore, that was a problem because he got the information I didn't. And I don't know if he was out. He was either busy or went into a, some file somewhere that he didn't even look at. So anyway, it didn't bounce my account, which it would have at one point in my life. And so I was like, okay. I tell you this whole story to tell you that this week I got another check from this company. And I thought we might as well all laugh about it together. Okay? You ready? Are you ready? I just have to cover something up and then I will show it to you. Okay? It's from the same insurance company. Do you see the amount? $1. Hi, Ellen. $1. I'm like, really? Same signature, by the way. For real. $1. Guess where this is going? File 13. I'm not going to deposit a $1 check. Ridiculous. Anyway, so they sent me $500. They took back $500, and then they sent me $1. So yes, crazy. Anyway, enough of that. It's just one of those silly goofball things, really. I mean, okay, so here, let's get on with the day and let's see what we can do. Here is the little book that we've been working on. Hang on, I gotta do something here, just a quick second. Okay, sorry, I had to send a text. Anyway, so here's the little book that we did. All I have done to close it at this point is just wrap a piece of sari silk ribbon around it. I have not attached it or anything, but I like the color of the sari ribbon. And it's a good way to keep the little book closed. So I thought you might enjoy seeing the book after everything was completely dry. Because when you were here, if you were here Monday night, what I was doing was gluing all these little things on. The little embellishments I have left with some, some loose edges. The words I pretty much glued on their fabric, and I glued those on so that the edges are all completely secured. But the little embellishments have a little bit of movement in them. So this is the name of the book. I titled it Gratitude. You put it in a journal. That's right. That's a good place. That's a good place for it, Ruth. Gratitude. And then these were words and phrases that I took from the piece of fabric, which I'll show you. It currently looks like Swiss cheese, but this was the piece of fabric that I've had for a while. And so I just took bits and pieces out of that and made up a story. So greet the day with a song, In Your Heart. That needs a little bit more glue right there. Embrace the moment. Pray daily. So that is my little book. all of the pieces of this are from pieces of tiny pieces of fabric that I collaged together here on Streams. And so I thought I would go ahead and make it into something, and I did. So there's my little book. And then this is how I'm keeping it closed. Okay, so any questions about any of that? If you have questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to just tie my little book back up, and we will call this project wrapped up. Oh, thank you, Joan. That was very nice of you. So there we go. And I will probably leave this loose rather than try to attach it to anything, just because it is a book that is not your typical book. So there's not really a good place to attach this ribbon. So I will probably just leave it like that. This is called a meandering book. What glue did I use? I used this one. And the reason I use this is it is good for fabric as well as paper, but it has this tiny little tip, which currently is barely working, but it still worked well enough to use that. Okay? So that's what it is. That's what I used. Okay, so, and Ruth probably really likes this because it's got a lot of purple in it. Hi, Dorothy. Good to see you. All right. So let's move on. So this project for today started because I'm going to make a quilt for a great-grandchild. And he is about a year old, a little over a year old. I don't know what. Oh. I'm not well organized in here. You know, I'm at this place here in this house that I moved into where I have my stuff unloaded from, I think, all but maybe one box. So I have everything unloaded and kind of tried to assimilate, blend into the house. And, but I've done it long enough ago that now I'm still thinking in terms of where it was in my other house. And I'm like, this morning I said to myself, I will be so grateful when I can think about, you know, like I was looking for tulle is what I was looking for this project. And it's like, I'll be so grateful when I know where everything is, like second nature, like it's in that cupboard, it's in this room, it's in, yeah, it's been a little bit of a challenge to try to figure out where I live and what I'm doing. Yeah, Ruth says, yeah, and you have my address. Okay, so back to the situation at hand. So I am making I'm making a quilt for a great-grandson who happens to live in Alabama. And so I went shopping today, or not today, but this week for the fabric. So I'm just going to fan through the fabric to show it to you. And you'll get a shot of my very cruddy looking desk, so you just have to kind of deal with the crud of the desk. So I bought a series of colorways. A couple of them I'm going to have to add to, but I wanted different blacks, and so I got some different blacks and a black brown. Those are going to be background fabrics. So the black, you know, has, like this, you can't really see, but it has animals on it. So there's turtles and shells and different animals on that. This is a Tim Holtz fabric. It has gears and stuff on it. This is just like a black marbly fabric. That's very similar. These two are very similar, but a little different. And then this one that's another Tim Holtz one. So these are going to be backgrounds. And then I got a variety of fabrics that will kind of go together. And these are to make dinosaurs. You can tell which colors I really love because I got more of those than I did the other ones. These are to make dinosaurs, and the dinosaurs are very colorful, and they go on the black background. And I have to have butterflies in the quilt somewhere because that's what I did with Big Sister's quilt. So this was one I found that worked, but it was still in the right colorway. So these are all the different colors I got. There's a reason I'm showing you these, and I will explain more about that here in just a moment. So things that are bright and colorful and hopefully that will entertain a little child too, because one of the best things that you can do for little kids is make things that make them study and look at them. You know, make them look at the designs. You know, that's why that black one I got has stuff on it that you'd have to really look to be able to see the animals and all of that. I need to get more of the lavenders or purples to go with this because I don't have quite enough for that. Anyway, so I brought these home. I do not have the backing for the quilt yet or any of that. So this is just to work with. And this is more fabric than I will ever need. But you got to have enough. You got to have, and I have to have choices. So I have choices. So I brought it all home, and there are two schools of thought about fabric in making a quilt. And one is wash the fabric, wash and dry it. The other one is don't wash and dry it. I tend to be more the kind of person that's going to wash and dry stuff ahead of time. So if it wrecks out, I want to know it ahead of time. And I also will wash it all together, because if it's washed all together and something runs or bleeds or does something horrible, I need to know it up front, because I'm not going to put all the time into making this and then give it to my granddaughter, who is the mommy, and she washes it, and then it wrecks out. So, okay? So that's what I did. Well, when you do that, if you don't either cut an angle cut across the end of the fabric, the corners of the fabric, if you cut a little angle cut, that helps with it not raveling. But I didn't do that. The other thing you can do is to serge finish the raw ends, the cut ends. I didn't do that either. I'm just like, I'm going to throw it in and just let it happen what happens. I did put color catchers, color catchers are expensive to start with, we'll say that, but they're well worth the expense when you get them. And you wash your fabric, or a new red shirt, for example, and you put the color catcher in with them, because they will hold on to the color, and they will generally hold on to it and not let it attach to your other pieces of clothing or fabric or what have you. Okay? So I have... I will show you the color catchers in just a minute, because I did save those. But here's what happens when you wash all this stuff. So I'm going to just put this on my desk, and I'm going to show you. Okay? So this is what happens when you wash your stuff. And so in the washing machine, it will all, wad, excuse me, it will all wad up, and all the threads will bind around the fabric. So it's a whole big, huge mess. And then I took all those ravelings off, and I was going to throw them away. And I looked at it and I thought, oh, that's such a nice bunch of colors. It's a lovely bunch of coconuts, you know. And so I thought, I think maybe I'll keep that. So then I threw them in so there's probably this much came out of the washing machine. So I threw them in the dryer after having disentangled and pulled all the ravelings off. And in the dryer, they raveled more, and so I got more. And so I decided to just keep all the lovely ravelly things. And so I, took the rest of them, and so I just ended up with this great mess of ravelings, okay? And so I put them up on top of the dryer, and then I went and I told Elton, I said, there's stuff on the dryer right now that looks like a pile of trash. Don't throw it away. He said, oh, okay. Because I had Claus Man trained about that, but I'm having to train a new man. He's trainable, which is good. All right, so out of that came, that whole experience came that bunch of ravelings. But then also what came out of that experience was this, which I will show you. Now this really does look like trash, okay? This is the lint from the dryer. I know, with some threads in it and stuff. But that's the lint. That's a lot of lint that came out of that fabric. That's one of the reasons that I personally like to pre-wash the fabric, because by pre-washing the fabric, I know what it's going to do. Okay, I know it's done what it's going to do. All right. All right. Let me just check here because I just need to make sure that everything is working. Okay. All right. So this is dryer lint, and this is the thread ravelings. And so I thought we should be able to do something with this. Thanks, Angela. So I'm like, we should be able to do something with this. And then I was going to throw these away. And these are the color catcher sheets that I put in the washing machine with the fabric. So it is something like, it's not as lightweight as a dryer sheet. It's kind of like interfacing in some ways. But after it's gone through the washer and it's dried out, and these fabrics did not bleed much at all. But it's a really good base for doing something. So I saved those. So we have this, and I thought, well, I think we should make a funky heart. And so we're going to make a funky heart in these funky colors. I don't know how it's going to come out. I have no idea. So let's see what happens. Are you ready? Hey, Rhonda. So let's see what happens. I did pull out a few. I'll show you the other things I have, because I have no idea what we're going to do. Not really. We're just going to experiment. You're going to see me create on the fly. So the bulk of those ravelings, I will show you again. The bulk of the ravelings are in the kind of green, blue, and a little bit of pink and orangish colors. So that's kind of the theme of what these thread ravelings are. So I pulled out a few bits and pieces of fabric. So I got a couple of greens. This is a piece of fabric that I used stencils and spray inks on a long time ago. So I had that one. This one we did rubbings, crayon rubbings, or something, some iteration of crayons on this muslin in the same kind of families. And then this, which is kind of that pinky orange sort of color. This is a commercial fabric. So I have that. So we have some fabrics to play with. if I decide to use those, which I probably will. Ravelings from all the fabrics, dryer lint, color catcher sheets that are used. And then while I was going through stuff, I found these, and I thought, oh, those are too good not to bring out. Okay, here's more ravelings from fabric that I washed and dried. I didn't even realize those were in there. We'll add those to the pile. And these loveliness right here, these are all from my machine embroidery days. I have gotten rid of my machine embroidery unit and all of the software designs. You know, there was just only so much I could move over here. And I needed, in order to make the embroidery unit work, it required a software package, which I'm like, I'm not going to buy the updated software package, you know, and so I just dispensed with that because I'm probably not going to ever do that again. Who knows? Anyway, choices. You have to make choices, and that was a choice I made. So somebody probably got a good deal at Goodwill, because that's what I did. I just donated it to Goodwill. I'm like, nope, I'm done. I'm not going to mess with all this. And so these are all thread tails, cut off thread tails from the days of machine embroidery. And this is, who knows what this little gizmo is. Oh, that's from serging. Yeah, we don't need that. So a lot of these threads are very shiny, they're glittery, and so they might make a nice addition to this, but they're because they're a completely different texture. Okay. Technology is annoying, and when I worked at the place I used to work, I had a copy of the software. They would give you so many copies from the company that were given to the people who, they were to be given to the people who worked in the business. So as long as I worked there, I felt okay about having that particular thing. But it requires a different kind of computer than I use. It requires a PC. I don't know if they've changed that. They may have, because there are enough people with Mac computers that there were a lot of complaints that it was only for PC. But anyway, that being said, we ended up putting something on my Mac that would function like a PC, which is how I was able to run the software. It's a whole complicated, ridiculous situation. Anyway, when I left the business, when I left that job, I'm like, nope, I'm here. This is yours. I do not want to be accused of having a bootleg copy of something, and so I left it. Anyway, so there you go. So any questions so far about what the materials are that we're going to work with? If you have questions, let me know. I gotta put some stuff on my finger. Sorry, my finger is much better than it was, but when it gets too dry, it just decides to drive me completely over the edge. And you know how people say, don't scratch it? It's like, well, I can't help it. Yeah, it's so much better though. Okay, that will help take care of that. And the only other things I brought were a couple of skeins of leftover yarn that I thought we might do something with, but I don't know. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is this. Hello, Barbara Clark. Good to see you. I know, it's a great hat, isn't it? I told a story a little bit ago about a little girl in Colorado in the bathroom who told me, she stopped me in the bathroom where I was not having a very good time disrobing all the million layers of things I had on, and she says to me, she says, I love your hat, which was so cute. It made my whole day so much better. All right. So here's what we're going to do right now is I'm going to get my sewing machine, and I also have some scrap, my box of scraps on the floor. So if I need to add some more pinks into this, because we're going to build a background, then we're going to put a bunch of stuff on it, and then we're going to put some tulle on it, and then I don't know what's going to happen. So yeah, folks, stay tuned for news. Okay. Oh, thank you, Rhonda. I love this hat, I really do. All right, I'm going to get my sewing machine up here, so give me a sec. And the other day I went into, well, it was when I was looking for fabric, and I briefly looked at sewing machines there, did not ask prices or any of that kind of thing. I was just like, you know how every once in a while you go, oh, I should go look and see what there is out there, you know. But boy, I mean, the big machines now, they are, I'm telling you, I've had, I shouldn't admit this, but I will because it's a fact. I've had 2 machines that are top of the line Bernina machines. This is one, which I've had for about 30 years. And another one that my dad bought a big chunk of. I think maybe he paid for most all of it, and I paid for some of it because I was doing a lot to take care of them and stuff. Anyway, that's another story. And it was a top of the line machine, and it's probably 25 years old. I mean, I've had 2 top of the line machines, but they're both, in terms of machinery and technology, they're old. Still have both. This one I use all the time. This is my workhorse machine. And what was I going to tell you about that? Oh, so I looked at the machines in the store. I didn't want anybody coming over to try and sell me a machine, so I sort of looked, I glanced as I walked by. I know the drill. And so the thing that just astounds me about the top of the line machines today, and it doesn't make any difference what major brand it is they are so huge. I mean, these machines are absolutely huge. They are so huge that I'm not sure I could lift them. They're that huge. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do the embroidery thing. Not going to do that anymore. And so I just kind of looked at, briefly glanced, and it's like, I'm not really in a place where I really need another machine, or it's not that I don't want one, but I don't need it. And so I walked on, and I'm perfectly comfortable with that decision. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew together these 2 color catchers. And so I have slightly overlapped them here. And these color catchers have been through the wash, and then they have dried out. They've done their job, and I just don't have the heart to throw them out. It's kind of like I don't use dryer sheets because I don't like what they do to the dryer. I don't use those, but I have a whole bag of them from when I did use them. So pretty much I try to recycle, or I'm not, in case you think I'm some kind of really ardent recycler, I'm not. But when it comes to things like this, I'm more apt to recycle this kind of stuff than some other things. Anyway, so all I've done is sew those two pieces of color catcher together, because why not? I should, because they're here. Okay. I can't wait to see what happens here. Well, me too, because I don't have any idea. I don't know what's happening either. So we're going to find out together. All right, so we're going to put this down. The first thing we're going to do, I'm going to do this where you're not going to be able to see me. But over here, off camera, first of all, I'm going to go get rid of this shirt or this jacket and put on my other shirt. This is getting too hot. It's polyester or something. I was like, nope, I'm at the end of that. And I'm going to, at the same time, I'm going to take this and I'm going to spray it with some temporary spray adhesive. Okay? An aerosol temporary spray adhesive, which I don't want to do in this room. So I'll be right back. So amuse yourselves for a moment, and I will put this pile of stuff that we are going to use either all of or some of here in a minute. I'll be right back. Okay, so I have sprayed this. For some reason, this temporary spray adhesive did not stick enough. I'm going to try again. Okay. All right. I'm more comfortable having gotten rid of the polyester shirt or nylon or whatever it is. This is not sticking very well, so I don't know why. So we're going to use glue stick to enhance it. Good grief, Rhonda. Okay. So, let's go down to the table. This should stick to my hand, but it's not. So I don't know what's going on. I noticed the other day that it wasn't very sticky, so I don't know if they're must have gotten old. All right, let's just put a background, a little bit of a background. some of this is not new stuff. This piece, this green piece that you're going to see, that is not been washed. It is new. Okay, so we got that. And I'm going to get one more piece of this that I have. So I'm just ripping off a little piece of this. This is also new, has not been washed. For what we're doing here, it does not make any difference. And we'll use this. Ooh, that's a noise. And we'll use a piece of this. And then I have a piece of this, which is a commercial fabric, like the two greens are a commercial fabric. Okay, that's probably way more fabric than we need, but I just want to put some color down on this bottom and see what happens. So we're just gonna cut some chunks. In case you are surprised about what's happening, so am I, because we are making this up entirely as we go along. Another thing that can happen here is to make it confetti. And I think that that's a good idea, actually. So let's do that. You can do this with a rotary cutter really quickly. You can put a whole pile of things down and you can make confetti, fabric confetti that way. I'll move these off. That's probably a better idea. Let's do that. Let's make the confetti first. And then we'll put it together on the fabric. Okay, there's that. Let's do a little bit of this one also. Hi, Dana. Good, you got the email, Dana. That's good news, because I have you on my notes in front of me to send you the email. So I will send you another one just to double check and make sure you get it. Yeah, it's kind of an important VIP class tomorrow, so I know it's very late notice, but I could not find another time to do it. So if you can be there, VIP members, if you can be there tomorrow, that would be really good. I am going to have a project as well as a couple of announcements. So if you can be there, that would be really good. Okay. Okay. Elton is here, which it's a good thing he yelled at me, because otherwise I would have been a little concerned. He's supposed to be working. Okay, so we have some fabric confetti, okay? Which is what I just, decided to do. Who knows why? Then I'm going to use this mat, which is an old Tim Holtz mat that has seen far better days in its previous life. So we are going to use it, and because my temporary spray adhesive is not very sticky, we're just going to put some glue stick down and see if we can get that to assist us. Okay, this is not fabric glue stick. This is Yoo-Hoo, which is a paper glue stick. But for what we're doing, it's going to be fine. All right, let's put some confetti down, and let's just sort of let it go where it wants. And then if we need to add some more stuff, we will. And some of it I may turn right side up, some of it may go right side down. One of Elton's very favorite things in the whole wide world is Valentine's Day, because he likes to buy chocolate-covered strawberries. He's probably listening to me. He loves to buy chocolate-covered strawberries for the girls in the office, and for his daughters and his granddaughter, and for me, and on and on and on. And, you know, and so I said to him the other day, I said, you know, I would rather have, if you're going to buy something for me, I'd rather have flowers than chocolate-covered strawberry. He says, but what kind of chocolate do you want? Which is so sweet, so kind. And at the same time, I'm like, apparently didn't hear me. So I tried again. I said, I'd rather have flowers than chocolate-covered strawberries, really. Oh, yeah. He said, but what kind of chocolate do you want? He is a sweet, sweet man. He's a sweet soul, but he hears what he wants to, and that's okay. A dozen for $11. That's very good. So if he's listening to me while he's still here, he'll come in here and give me grief in a little bit. Okay, so we have confettiized this color catcher sheets that are down here. And so I think, I'm going to see what else I have. Okay, I have that. There might be a little bit of pink in this bag of scraps. There's some. All right, let's see if we can make do with this. I do love roses and flowers. Those are my preference. I'm not a big chocolate person. I like a Whitman sampler, which people go, oh, good grief, a Whitman sampler. That's what I like, you know, and I like to have like one of those a year, like a small one, not even a big one. Because here's the problem. If I get started eating that stuff, it's really hard to leave it alone. And then I go, but you don't even like it all that well. It's like, and then these conversations I have with myself, they're insane. You know, it's like, you shouldn't eat that. I know I shouldn't. So you need to stop. I know I should. Anyway, let's put this down, okay? So we're just going to make, this is a little bit like what I used to make the green gratitude book, which I now have put somewhere on my space and I don't know where it is. This is a little bit like the way I made it, only I used bigger pieces of fabric and stuff. So now what I'm doing is just trying to kind of fill a lot of the gaps. So I'm being a little bit more intentional about where I'm putting stuff. A little bit, not a lot, a little bit. And this is just to kind of give us a background of some kind. And I think, I wasn't planning to do this, but the idea just struck. I think what we're going to do is we're going to put a layer of tulle over this and do a little bit of sewing on it. And then we'll put the other stuff on top of it. And we'll just kind of see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to stop. Since I'm going to put tulle over it, I'm just going to just drop the stuff around on it. I'm not going to try and glue it down. I'm just, okay, so we're going to call this confetti, fabric confetti. Probably, yeah, you probably can turn it into a journal cover. Yeah, I'm sure you could. I'm sure you could. All right, let me get the tulle. Oh, here it is. It's right within arm's reach. Oh, this. It's right where the tulle was. So this little book that I showed that we've made over the course of several times, all of these fabrics that I created from this little junk leftover bits of fabric, that's kind of how this was made. Kind of on this order, but with bigger pieces of fabric. All right, so we're going to audition some pieces of tulle just so that I can kind of see what's what here. I often go for black tulle, so we're going to look at that. So there's black tulle, so it dims down the color a little bit, not a whole lot, but a little bit. There's so many streams of me making fabric like that, and it's kind of my fallback. Every once in a while I'll do another one, so I'm sure there will be another one coming up. But just to remind you guys, I don't think you were here, Rhonda, I'm going to be gone I'll be here next Monday night, but I will be gone the next 2 Fridays and the Monday in between. Okay, so that's a bright pink. Braveheart just came in. How did you get in this house? He is such a sneak. He's the gray and white cat. All right, so we have that pink, and then we have this pink, which is not going to be appreciably different than the last one I just showed you. It's a little duller. All right, so it's not going to really matter a whole lot. Let's use this one. Well, I think we'll do this, actually. Okay, I think we'll use this dark red. I'm going to try it out, and then we'll see if I use it. Oh, sure. So I will be gone. I will be here this coming Monday night. Yeah, let's just use this one. I'm going to be here this coming Monday night at 7 Eastern. And then I will be gone for the next Friday, the next Monday, and the Friday after that. And then I'll be back. So we have somebody staying here at the house and taking care of everything, including the cats. All right, so we're just gonna see if we can put this on here. Normally I don't pin it, but there's so much there's so much stuff going on under there that I am going to pin it. All right. So this is making, oh, that's not going to work because it doesn't even cover. So we're just going to waste a little bit of tulle. That's okay. This is making fabric confetti into another piece of, into a piece of fabric. So this is what you call just building. It's just building a thing. Okay, so lots of fabric pieces, kind of in a colorway that kind of goes with the scraps of kind of along this line. The title of this stream is Making a Funky Heart, and that's exactly what this is going to be. So the first thing we're going to do here is I just need to, the reason I'm doing this right this minute is because I need to trap all this stuff, because it is trying to get away from me and I'm not going to let it. Okay? My one remaining outdoor cat, who is very skittish, his name is Blue. You have not seen him because Blue is very, very, very shy. And the other night, he almost came in the house on his own. We are making such good progress with Blue. Okay, this is the color of the tulle that I laid over this. So when you see tulle on a bolt of fabric, it has a little bit of bearing on what's going on underneath it, but not a ton. When it's folded up or it's on a bolt, you go, oh no, that'll never work. Well, that's not necessarily the case, okay? All right. So here is our fabric confetti, trapped under a layer of tulle. It's built on a used color catcher. So I'm going to get my machine back. So I'm going to get the machine back, put it on the table, and we're going to stitch it a little bit to hold things in place. Okay, now I brought the thread in here. So this is my bag of King Tut threads. So let me get, because I always go back to the green, I'm going to do a pink variegated, because I will consistently reach for this lime green because I love it. But the last project we did, which was this little book, edged in the lime green. So I'm going to try to, very hard, do something else. Make myself stretch, okay? So let me see what bobbin colors I have. Oh, I love flowers, but that's, you know, in fact, I buy bouquets of flowers very frequently to have on the table. A lot of that comes from my dad because that's what he taught at the university. He taught flower arrangement. Ooh, that's not got very much thread on it. Let me see what I have, if I have anything else. Well, you know what? If I run out of bobbin thread, we're just going to use up all the pinky tones of bobbin thread. Okay. My dad taught flower arrangement and floriculture and greenhouse construction and so forth at the university. And so I'm going to go for a different bobbin that's got more bobbin thread on it. Sorry, couldn't make up my mind. So we always had fresh flowers. Most of the time we had fresh flowers, especially if he was going to be late coming home from the university. He would bring flowers to Mom as a peace offering. Not that my mom was upset. That was just his way of using up flowers from the day, that whatever he was teaching, because he taught all kinds of things regarding flowers. Okay. All right, so I have rethreaded my machine with a variegated pink thread. I have white thread on the bobbin, which won't make any difference, but it's better that than my oh, I don't think I brought the presser foot in here. Okay, in that case, we're gonna stitch with we are gonna stitch with a straight stitch with the presser foot down. I was gonna do free motion, but I don't think I have the presser foot in here. I'll have to go get it, and it's at the other end of the house. Anyway, here we go. Whew, that long explanation for nothing. Okay, so I'm just gonna do just kind of a grid on this, just to kind of trap, let the tool trap the bits and pieces of the fabric confetti. Yeah, I'm just real sure I don't have that foot in here. That's all right. I'll go get it in a minute. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of trap this. So I'm just going around about, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch from the edge for no particular reason. That's just where I started. And if the tool gets a fold in it as I go, it is no big deal, okay? Now see, there I went further. Doesn't matter. Be careful that you don't stitch over pins. That is not a good practice. If you stitch over pins, you can break a needle. At the very least, you are going to dull the pin. But if you break a needle, the needle usually flies the tip, the part you break off, or it goes down inside your machine. So if it goes down inside the machine, that can cause real problems with the machine if you don't get it out. And the other problem is it can fly into your eye. And I always have glasses on because I really can't see very well without them. So I almost always have glasses on unless I'm doing handwork up really close. But if you don't have glasses on, you can cause yourself real harm by having needles that flip into your eyes. If you have any questions about what I'm doing, put them in all caps. You know how people paint intuitively? Or they do art journaling intuitively. This is intuitive sewing. What I'm trying to do is to catch most of the pieces of fabric. A little bit. I don't really care how this looks at all. Okay, so we have everything trapped under the tulle, and so it looks like that. Okay, so when I shake it, if anything flies off of it or falls out, it's going to be from the edges, which I'm not going to be able to use anyway, so I'm just shaking it and see if anything falls out. A couple of little pieces did. There was one. Okay. There you go. All right, so there's that. All right, moving the machine again off the table, because that's the nature of this. That's how this goes. Up and down, up and down. When I'm trying to keep it on camera for you guys. Okay, so let's look and see what this looks like. Okay, so there it is. There's what it looks like on the back. These were 2 color catchers that I sewed together to start with. Used color catchers. So there is my piece of beginning fabric. So now let's embellish this with some of this. Okay, so I'm going to put some more glue stick on here. My preference is not to use glue stick, but to use the spray adhesive, but temporary spray adhesive, but for whatever reason that is not cooperating with me. I think it must be old, and so we had to pivot because that was not working. So I will use the glue stick, and hopefully there will be enough to kind of do what we want it to do. All right, so let's put some ravelings on here, shall we? I don't want to totally cover up what's underneath, but you know, if it does cover up everything underneath, oh well. I don't want super huge wads. I'd rather have, like, this is a big wad right here. I'm going to try and, it's like a mat in the cat's hair. I'm spreading it out, and hopefully it will work for us. Got some purples and stuff here, so hopefully there's enough glue stick that is going to work. The ones that are really knotted up, I'm going to kind of attempt to avoid those. Ooh, this is a nice color. So this is like drawing from a color palette of paint, and so I'm just painting with thread ravelings. Okay. And if any of it sticks to my hands, I'm going to try to smash it back down onto the base. Again, this is kind of a wad, made kind of a knot. I'm trying to kind of pull some of that apart a little bit. And anytime you're working with threads, and especially in the winter time, which it's still winter here, your hands, if your hands are dry at all, which mine are almost always dry, you have to either put some lotion on your hands real quick or be content with the fact that stuff is going to get hung up in your dry hands, because that's the nature of the beast. That is what happens. All right, here's a little orangey something or other. This is a little bit like art journaling, the concept of layers in art journaling. You have to be content. If you want depth in your art journaling pages or your paintings, you have to be content with covering things up. And that's kind of what's going on here. Things are going to get covered up, and that's going to be the way that's going to happen. But things are also going to show through from below, but you don't really know what's going to show and what isn't. This seems awfully dark here. So I'm going to kind of spread that out a little bit. Okay. And maybe a little bit more over here. Maybe a little bit more in the corner, maybe a little more there, maybe a little more there. Let's see what we can do. Okay. And so I'm just pulling from the wad. And maybe this one. Let's stick over here a little bit. We have a little bit here. I don't know about you guys, but I love doing stuff like this because I have no idea what it's going to be or what it's going to turn out like. And usually the things that I think are going to be the weirdest thing I've ever tried, or conversely, the ugliest thing I've ever tried. Honestly, most of the time, those are the things that I love the most. Okay, so there we go. I've got some of that. I'm also going to take some of this, little bits. This is dryer lint, okay? It just will give us a different texture, give us a little bit different color, mostly different texture. And besides that, I just find it fascinating to use crap like this. I've used dryer lint for doll hair, I've used it in art projects. I've used it in collage things with paper. I've felted it in with my felting machine or embellisher. Okay, so that has toned down some of it's mellowed out some of the crazy colors a little bit. All right, so we have some dryer lint. Ta-da! Yes. Hello, Susan. What sounds like a scam? I'm not sure what. I'm not sure what that's about. Anyway, okay, so what else do we have? One more thing, and then we're gonna put another layer of tulle on this, and then we're gonna stitch again. So this is what I have in here, which is thread tails from the embroidery machine. Okay. Different texture because it's a different weight of thread. These are all small, very thin, not stuck together. They may be tangled up, but they're not stuck together like the ravelings, the machine ravelings down here, or the thread laundry ravelings. Okay, so we'll put that there, and maybe, I don't know. Oh, this is silk. Okay, this is another texture. These are from silk, pieces of silk fabric. All of this is silk threads from fabric, so it's the ravelings off the edges of silk fabrics. These really stick to your hands terribly. Okay, they like to stick to your hands and stick to each other. And so what we're going to do with this is this. And just make some more confetti, but this time it's confetti with thread. Okay? You do have to be careful when you're doing this, because if you're not careful with your scissors, you can cut yourself pretty easily with this. So just be a little aware of what's happening. Watch the scissors. Kind of watch where you're guiding. Kind of watch where you're guiding the stuff to go, but you've got to watch what your scissor blades are doing. Otherwise, I have done that before where I'm like, I couldn't even believe I was that stupid. I must have cut my fingers while I was cutting things up like this. Okay. So do you see how it's kind of like making fabric and thread lasagna? Okay. But the more you touch it with your hands, the more it's going to want to come back up. So you kind of have to okay, so there we go. Good enough. I'm going to put all this stuff back in the plastic bag it came out of so I don't drag it all over the place. Okay, so let's put another piece of tulle on it. That's going to be important in this process. The tulle is what makes this manageable, okay? So we got to find a color of tulle that I think will work. let's see if this pink will work. And is it big enough? Let's see. Yeah, okay. So we're just going to say it's going to work. I'm not going to try anything else, because if I try anything else on this, it is going to want to stick and be carried off into the madness. Okay, don't get too picky about trying to save tulle. Tulle is not an expensive fabric, so I would highly encourage you to let more of it hang off the edge than you really want to. Okay. So once again, I'm having to pin it on because I have to have a way to control the madness. So you do need gloves, but the thing is, it'll still stick to the gloves. That's the unfortunate part. If there were gloves where it didn't stick to it, but I'm telling you, those silk threads, they will stick to everything. Okay. And now I'm just going to cut off the tulle. Okay? So here is our fabric and thread confetti. This is confetti lasagna, people. This is confetti lasagna. Okay? All right, now I need to go and get my free motion presser foot. So I will be right back, okay? All right. Okay, I am back with the magic presser foot. Okay, so let's get the machine back again. I just saw Rhonda's comment about all my yummy supplies. The thing you guys have to know is that I'm old and I've been collecting stuff for a long time. There you go. That's the answer to that. Okay. I'm trying to think. We want this to be funky. So maybe I'll just use this pink that's in the machine and just leave the white thread on the bottom. It's good enough. Okay. All right, free motion presser foot. You have to have the presser foot down when you do free motion work. I have the feed dogs down so that, because otherwise the tension dials are like this up in the machine. Okay, imagine they're 2 discs. My hands are 2 discs. When the presser foot is up, the discs are open. The thread drops down between the 2 discs. And then when you put the presser foot down, it closes around the thread. And that's what allows it to stitch properly without making a big wad on the back most of the time. Okay? So we're just going to start stitching. So what my stitching is going to do is it's going to trap the tool over all the threads and the confetti fabric underneath. So that's what it's going to do, is it's going to trap all this stuff. But I have to move it because the feed dogs are down. There's nothing that's going to move this fabric other than me. Now, if your hands don't move it very easily, put on, you can put on the plastic gloves, you know, like we all had an obsession about in 2020. You can put those on. You can use quilting gloves. You can use gardening gloves if they have a rubber, those rubber dots on them. Any of that will give you some extra grip. Okay? Some things you have to do to make your free motion stitching better. Breathe is the first one. You have to breathe because it's really easy to hold your breath when you're doing this kind of stuff, any kind of free motion work, because you get anxious about whether it's going to work or not. Yeah, best thing to do is just figure that it may work, it may not. The VIP class, is that what you're talking about, Dorothy? It's 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. I see. You should have gotten an email today. And I will be sending another email later today also. If that's what you're talking about, that's what's coming. If it's something else, I don't know the answer. So breathe when you're doing this. Keep your hands moving. Here's the foot moves. Your speed of sewing with your foot is fast. Your hands move slowly. So it's a little bit of a coordination thing. But just keep breathing when you do it, okay? And think of, all right, let me explain this again. Imagine this is a piece of paper. Imagine that this is the ink and that the needle is the pen. Okay, or a pen, yeah, a pen with ink. But this is the paper. I am moving the paper underneath the pen. That's what this is equates to. Okay, so I'm just going to keep stitching. I'm going around in a spiral at the moment, but I could change it any minute. And anytime you need to stop and take a break and breathe, do that, okay? It's much better for you if you do that than if you pass out from not breathing. Keep going. I'm just repositioning because I'm finding it a little easier to stitch away from myself at the moment than to come toward myself. It's not always the way I feel, but that's how I feel at the moment. Sometimes the toes of the presser foot, these are open, these toes are open. Sometimes they will catch the tool, so that's sometimes why I find it easier to go backwards. I'm having to keep an eye on where my pins are because I do not want to stitch over the pins. So sometimes I go sideways, sometimes forward, sometimes back. Just depends. Remember how I said intuitive mixed media or painting or art journaling? This is intuitive machine sewing. Okay, I'm getting too close to a pin over here, so I'm just going to take it out. Same thing here. So I'm just going around in a spiral just because that's how I started and that's what I wanted. I don't know why. I have no reason. And then I'm going to use, I'm almost around all of this. I'm going to choose another color of thread. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to go to that green just because I can hardly not use it. I'm trying to make myself not use it, but I don't think I can. I think I have to use it. So I'm trying to catch all of the pieces of paper or fabric and threads. At least stitch over them a little bit, and then we'll do something on top of it with probably the green. Okay, I think we're going to do this other corner over here to alter the way that you stitch it. Okay, we're going to call that good. And we'll look at it up close here for a second, and then we'll rethread the machine and go for a contrast color on top, because it's a funky thing. It's a funky thing, and it's beginning to take on its own character. Here's the back side. All right. I think I'm going to have to go to green. I just think I have to. I don't know. I don't think I can not do green. Don't think I can not do green. You are welcome, Dorothy. Okay. You thread the machine with the presser foot up. You sew with the presser foot down, okay? Put that mantra into your head. Sorry, I'm trying to thread the machine here. Okay, green. And because I have a green bobbin that matches, I'm going to go ahead and put that on the machine. So I'll have matching thread top and bottom. As soon as I can find the end of the thread. Here it is. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to have to take my table off here just a second. There we go. Okay. Put my extension table back on the machine. All right, we've rethreaded. Now, let's I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know. So we're just going to start stitching and see what happens, okay? Still free motion stitching. I want enough thread that everything is going to be densely stitched. I'm going to cut my threads where I started. I'm going to get rid of those so they don't cause me trouble. And what I'm doing is kind of stitching in a serpentine, kind of a serpentine sort of style. So I am stitching over all of those spirals that I did already. Can you see the green? You see kind of the wandering serpentine sort of stitch. It's coming. Yeah, a journal cover would be good. But we're going to cut it up. Okay, I'm going to work on this side now, just because, no reason. And this is also, it's the thread and the stitching is blending all this stuff together. So unless you saw how it was made, you wouldn't really realize that how it happened. Okay, so we got that half done. Let's go zooming over to the other half, which is over on this side. Let's see, how far did I stitch? Or this, let's go over this way. Sometimes if I feel like it, if I feel like I missed a section, I just back up and stitch over it. Then when it gets to where it's not much there's not much area to cover, I'll just stitch backwards and forwards. Okay, let's see what it looks like on the back. That's how you can tell when you can't really see. You turn it over to the back and take a look at the stitching on the back, and then sometimes you can see if you missed any sections, and it looks like we've got it pretty thoroughly covered. Okay, we're gonna call it good. Okay, so moving the machine yet again. Oh, cool. Okay. And when you work with free motion stitching, just as a note, you don't have to have a free motion foot. You can do it with a bare needle. You still have to make sure that the presser foot is down. The presser foot lever has to be down. But you don't have to use a free motion foot. The thing about having the foot is it generally protects your hand from accidentally stitching it with the bare needle. So be real careful if you do that with the bare needle. But that's how I learned in the beginning. I learned with a bare needle. It's risky, but you can do it. Okay, I need a piece of paper. Let's just use a piece of glue paper because it's what I can see at the moment in this mess. I'm going to just pull a piece of phone book paper out. Take off the attachment. You just have the foot off. You just have the presser foot off. Okay, so here's what I have. I have a piece of paper. We're going to fold this in half. We're going to see if we can make a decent looking heart, which I don't know if we can. It's not too bad. Kind of big, a little bit big, so let's reshape it a little bit. You just have to be really, and I can't stress it enough, but you got to be really careful if you stitch with the bare needle. Okay, we should be able to get several funky hearts out of this, and to make life more interesting, we're going to turn it upside down. Okay, like this. And I'm going to use a pen. I'm going to draw some hearts. If you remind me, somebody, before I sign off, I have an apron that I can show you. The pen is not going to work for me. I have an apron that has more of the confetti fabric on it. I'll show you if you'd like to see it. It was from a class that I taught a long, many years ago. Okay, we have a heart. May not be perfect, but we have a heart. Okay, let's see if we can do another one going this direction. I'm doing a very horrible job of drawing around this heart shape. This paper from the phone book is very lightweight, so it has no edge to it. So I'm just doing kind of a scribbly drawing. Okay, let's go up here. I don't know if we'll be able to get 4 out of this, but we're going to give it a shot. So instead of making 1 funky heart, we're going to make maybe 4. Maybe at least 3. Okay, there's 3. Let's see if we can squeeze in 1 more. Okay, looks like we can maybe squeeze another one out right here. Then we're going to cut them out, and then we're going to look at them and see what they look like. Once the hearts are made, then you can decide what you want to do with them. You can add them onto something else. These can just be fodder for something else, or these could go into a slow stitch scroll, or a paper, you know, one of those long scroll type things that you wind up on a like a wooden spool or a piece of dowel or something like that. You can do all kinds of things with them, or you can finish them. Finish the edge. You can put something on the back, like fabric or paper. If you're going to stitch with the machine, I would encourage you to put fabric on the back, not paper. If you're going to use them, just you could always stitch around the edge to finish off the edge, and then you could glue it onto paper or cardstock. Kind of just have to use your imagination and see what, just kind of see what shows up for you. Okay, there's one. And if you've got things that are really hanging off the edge, you can kind of true those up a little bit. You can embellish them with beads. You can embellish them with sequins or buttons or sequins and beads. You could stitch lace around the outer edge, which would be very pretty to do. In fact, if you want to see that, I can go dig up some lace here in a second, and we'll put some lace around the outer edge of one. Obviously, I'm going to run a little bit long today. If you have someplace else you need to be, feel free. Okay, there's 2. You can do it by hand, Dorothy. It would take longer, but I know you and your hand sewing skills. You can do this by hand. Most anything that I do, Dorothy manages to effectively adapt to the kinds of things that she likes to do. And since she doesn't have a machine, you can do it. You can adapt it. Or you can change it to paper instead of fabric. That's another thing you can do. Oh, When you do this, this is a very bad practice. Always close your scissors when you set them down, because invariably, if you get in the habit of doing this and dropping your scissors down, if this happens to land on fabric, for example, like this, it is not difficult at all, because scissors have a mind of their own. You probably don't know this, but they sometimes reach down and they grab up a piece of whatever's underneath and they cut it, because they're mean like that. So I'm just saying. Scissors can be untrustworthy, so always close them when you lay them down. Now, these are not going to be perfect hearts. They're handmade. Okay. So there are. I do think it would work with hand stitch. It's just going to take you longer, but it's going to work with hand stitch. There's no reason it can't. It's just going to take longer. So you can adapt it, or take the concept and do something completely different. You know, take the concept and do it a little different. See, Purple Nana agrees. Okay, so there are our hearts made. These are our funky hearts. Now, would you like to see me put lace around one of them? If you would, I will go get some lace. I'm going to wait and see. Another thing you can do, yes please, okay. Another thing you can do is you can bind. Bind is probably a loose, not a very good term. But we can put yarn around the edge of this. It's sticking to my fingers. And you can finish the edge with yarn. So we might do one of those as well. And you can also hand stitch around the edge to stop them from raveling. You can do a buttonhole stitch, you can do an overcast stitch, you can do a lot of different things. So, all right, let me go get a couple of things from I gotta go to the sewing room, which is down yonder. I'll be right back. Okay, if you guys could see the mess, I have managed to manufacture around this place. Whew, you would be surprised. Probably not. All right, let's start with one easy thing to do, okay? Let's start with an easy one. If you get to this point, you do need to finish the edges, okay? You do need to finish the edge somehow. So let's start with just super easy way. Yes, Braveheart. What you doing? You gonna come see me? I have a gray kitty, gray and white kitty, he has become quite attached to me, and he likes to sit on my lap. It is pretty nice to have a kitty cat that wants to sit on my lap. I do have to say, it makes me miss Chance and Charlie a little bit less. Okay, this is a pearl cotton. This is a number 8 pearl cotton. It says right there, number 8. Okay, it's Wonder Fill. And so let's start. I would assume that I would later add some fabric or maybe a piece of jelly plate paper to the back of this. I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of back up here. So I've put this in place. I've just added, of course, with a knot, first thing. Okay, so I've got my thread attached, the pearl cotton attached, and so I'm not going to do anything fancy here. I'm just simply going to overcast the edge by hand. So I'm going to let it ravel. I'm going to let the threads kind of ravel. This is going to add to the funky look, because I'm not worrying about how far apart the stitches are or how wonderful they look. Okay, that is an overcast stitch. It's just a whip stitch around the edge. If you want to do a buttonhole stitch, or not a buttonhole, but a blanket stitch, I'll do a couple stitches of that. And these can be either meticulously done or they can be kind of haphazard. So you start out, same thing as the overcast stitch, just going around the edge, and then you stick your needle through the loop. The first one is never going to look quite right, and I don't worry about it, because I'll fix it when I come back and meet. The very last stitch you do, you go underneath that loop, and that will make it look like the rest of the blanket stitch. So this one right here at the beginning will not look right until the very end. Okay, so you move over about the distance that you go. It's over about the same distance as it is from the edge of the fabric. Pull up a loop, pull it before you go all the way to the end of the loop. You put your needle through it. That's your blanket stitch. Okay, so it starts like a whip stitch or an overcasting stitch, and then you go through the little loop at the very end. Let me come in a little tighter. Maybe it will make even more sense. You can go front to back or back to front. I usually go back to front. So take the stitch, go through the loop. Take the next stitch. Before you pull it completely up, go through the loop. Okay, like so. So those are two different hand stitching ways to treat the edge. Now I like the blanket stitch better because I like that stitch along the edge. But there's nothing wrong with the overcast or whip stitch. So that's one thing you can do. Okay? So that is a by hand finish, and then you're going to have to do something to the back or leave it like this. Doesn't really matter. It's your thing, so you can leave it or finish it. Okay? Hey, Beth. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit. And so we're going to put this one to the side. This, I'm going to have to take the stitches out or go back and... Come here, Brave. Come here, kitty. Come here, Brave. I think we need to have a cat showing. Come here. Well, come here. Come here. Come here, Brave. Come here. Yes. Here is Mr. Braveheart. Yes. He's standing at the door talking to me. So here's Mr. Braveheart. He is so cute. He's such a good boy. He was very much an outdoor kitty, and he is very much now. He likes to spend his time inside if possible. And he pretends that he's a tick on me. He likes me to sit down and hold him all the time he's in. He's so funny. He's such a good boy, aren't you? He's a sweetheart. Yeah, he's a sweetheart. He's purring up a storm. I know you can't hear him, but he is just purring to beat the band. Okay, can you go wait for me? I'll be done in a little bit. Okay, let's go back to some other ideas. But sometimes you just got to stop and have a little kitty sighting. Alright, so what I have in here is lace. I have gathered lace, which is going to work best for this. So we're going to stick with the gathered lace. And it just kind of depends on what you want to use. You know, this is like nylon crappy gathered lace. But this would be, you know, this is really crappy lace, but it would look pretty around a heart, you know. It is really junky lace. The fabric is terrible. Okay, this one's not bad. We'll look at that one. And then everything in this bag is stuff that I like better. So this is some of that stuff from that place I told you about that I used to buy stuff by the pound. And so this would be quite nice around here. That would be quite nice around there. It's more of a cotton. This is a synthetic. Has a little purple flower on it though. Very, very basic. Alright, let's try this one. I like this one the best. And I have a ton of it. So okay. So here's what I'm going to do with this on one of these is trying to get stuff out of the way so I don't roll on it. Yes, Brave. Okay, so let's start. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear him. He has the tiniest little meow. He just barely squeaks. Unless he is angry about something. And if he's angry, boy, I'm telling you what, you know. he lets you know. Okay, so this is called a gathered lace, as opposed to a flat lace. Flat lace is exactly as you would imagine. It does not have any dimension to it like this. It is just completely flat. You can gather it up. You can do all kinds of things with flat lace. In a perfect world, this would be ironed so that it would look good, but I didn't, and so we're punting. We are punting. So what I would do with this in this scenario is I would stitch this. You could do it by hand just like I showed you. You could, except you would have a piece of lace to work around. But you could do this by hand, and you would be catching the lace while you were stitching around the heart. When you get to the point, I'm going to add a little bit of extra lace, so I'm going to push it up a little bit so it has a little bit of extra lace in the point of the heart. So it doesn't end up with a whole lot. So this one will have to be ironed later because this lace is a mess. And I'm not being particularly picky about how this lace goes around here. I'm not trying to make a complete mess out of it, but I'm not being super picky, okay? So I'm going to just keep working around here, and I'm just pinning it just because I think it's going to make life easier for myself. And I'm going to stitch it twice. I'm going to stitch it on the machine 2 times. The first time I'm just going to attach the lace, and the second time I'm either going to do another machine stitch, but a denser machine stitch around it. So the first stitching is just to hold it together. The second stitching will be to either stitch around it with more of a decorative stitch or using a yarn to edge it. So we'll see. We'll see what I feel like here in a second. Alright, so what I want to do is overlap this lace and a little bit more. Alright, so then I'm going to just kind of see what I think I want to do here. So you're going to have to imagine with me how this is working, just because it needs very badly to be ironed, but we don't have an iron in here. So okay, so imagine with me that this is all nicely ironed and nice and flat-ish, right? Okay, so I'm going to move this off. So it's not a perfect demonstration, but we're getting there. Okay, so back to the machine. So back to the sewing machine, and because I don't want to have to rethread the machine again, I'm just going to use the same green thread, so it's going to look kind of strange here for a minute. Is Elton here? You know what? He already brought me flowers today. Oh, you did peas and lettuce? Ooh, nice. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the presser foot being up. Now, I'm going to have to be a little careful because this is one of those things where it would be real easy to stitch this lace cuckoo. So I'm going to do the best I can to do a zigzag over the edge of this heart that we have created, and not crunch up the lace. So I'm stitching off the edge of my little heart, catching the lace. Let me see if I can come in tighter so you can see. Okay, do you see how I'm going over the edge? So it is sewing over the edge, and it's also catching the lace in place. And hopefully not making too big of a mess on the back of our little heart. Of our funky little heart. So I'm attempting to go on the heart and then off the heart. You just got to keep your fingers out of the way, because it's really easy on things like this where you're being so careful about keeping, doing things, keeping them straight, not letting things get out of control or get in places where you don't want it. It's really easy to stitch your fingers, believe it or not. So like this, where the lace is all kind of tucking under the heart, or trying to, because it needs to be ironed. You got to be careful. You got to be the boss of your stuff. But you notice that I'm taking out the pins before I get to them. I'm doing that on purpose so that I don't stitch over them. For the same reasons as I explained to you earlier. You don't want to break a needle, hopefully. You also do not want to break a pin, and you don't want to flip any of this stuff into your eye or your face or down into the bed of your machine. Okay, and then we're going to call it good, and I'm going to take this out. We're going to look at it. It's going to take me an hour to clean this place up. What a mess I have managed to create today. Okay, here's the back of the heart. This, now we can shorten this up. We don't need that anymore. So there's the back. Okay. And I think I managed to stitch it on without catching any of the lace. So there is the lace around the edge. It will look much better once it's been steamed a little bit. Okay, like so. And let me show you from a different angle. So you see the green thread around the edge? The green zigzag is what is attached to lace and also sewn over the edge. It looks okay the way it is. I mean, this would be perfectly acceptable to then, you know, put a, I don't know, put something on it if you wanted it, or attach it to something else. Doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do with it. I probably would add something else to it, a little focal thing or a word, or, you know, one of these words like, you know, we used on that other little book. I would maybe add one of those. You could add buttons, you could add different kinds of things on it. Okay, so there is one way to finish that, or two ways, because we did one that was hand stitched. Now we've done this one. And you can finish the back of this if you want, you know, put something on the back to finish it. Or if you're going to attach this to something else, you don't need to finish the back of it. Okay, so there's one. Here's one funky heart, two funky hearts. This one is the hand stitching ideas. Let's see if we can make one more work for us. I have varying degrees of enjoyment this way. So I'm going to start with a nice long, this is yarn. You'd think that lime green is the only color I like, which is not true, but it's the one that I have a lot of fun with. So I'm going to start down here in the point of the heart. I'm going to use a wide zigzag, okay, and fairly close together. And I am going to, I may have to stitch this on top. We'll see. Sometimes it does one thing, sometimes it does another. Okay, that's too wide. So what I'm doing is attempting, this is easier to do on straight sides than on a curved shape. It is, whoops, sorry. Gosh. Here, I'll show you how to do this, and then I don't even have the right camera. All right, sorry, my fault, my bad. So what I'm doing is a zigzag over the edge. So I am trapping the yarn and the edge of the heart all in one go. This one works best if you use a thread that blends with the embellishment, whether it's a cord or a yarn or whatever. I've done this with gold cording. I've done this with multiple strands of yarns or threads out here, twisting them as I go. Very sorry that I did not have you on camera here a minute ago. The feed dogs are up. I am using just a zigzag stitch. This is very much like patting your head and rubbing your stomach. Okay, and then I'm going to take a couple of stitches here in the center part of the heart, turn the corner, and keep going. You just can't do this very fast because it has a mind of its own sometimes. And this is nothing special about this yarn. It's something I bought at Hobby Lobby because I like the color. It was for doll hair that I did for one of the courses or classes I did. And you notice that I started with a long piece of yarn here at the tip of the heart. I'm going to cut my threads where I had started stitching just to get them out of the way, but I'm going to leave that tail of the yarn where I started down here, okay? Until I decide what I want to do with it. Like I said, this is kind of a pat your head, rub your stomach kind of operation. So as I get down here to the tip of the heart, I'm just going to cross those tails. And then I'm going to back stitch. And then I'm going to call it good. Okay, so that will have bound the edge of the heart with the green thread. Okay, now sometimes if you don't get it quite on the edge, you can carefully come in here and snip off the ravelings from the heart underneath, but you got to be careful because it's pretty easy to cut your threads, your sewing threads there. Okay, let's move this off the table. We are really running over time today. Okay. Alrighty. So here is our little thread bound heart. And then down here at the bottom, you can do a variety of things. You could just cut it off and put a little bit of glue down here at where the two tails cross. Down here you could put a little bit of glue back here so they don't come undone. Or you can see how this wants to go. This one wants to go off to the side, and so I'm going to let it do what it wants to do here. So it has a couple of little tails here at the bottom, like that. And so that can be another way to finish your hearts. That's what the back looks like. I do this finish, I've done this finish on a lot of things. So you got that funky heart. You got this funky heart, which looks very funky because of not being pressed. And you have the starting of this one where it's hand stitched on the edge. And then you can go from there. You can add these are paper, but they're copies of from fabric. Moment. I'm just looking at what I have in my hand here. I don't really have much that's appropriate in the words that were there other than that. Or you could do a moment. You know, you can just do all kinds of stuff, right? So there we have some, and this one I didn't do anything with, so we have that funky heart as well. All right, so there you go. We have done it. We have done it. And I have another, this is another yarn that I brought in here to use, which may or may not go with this. I don't know. Probably will look fine, actually. But there you go. There you go. We have it. Ta-da! Okay. Funky hearts all over the place. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you being here. And I hope you have a good day. I do. Today's Friday the 13th. It surely is. I hope you have a good day. So far, my day has been terrific. I anticipate the rest of it will be too. Thank you all. I'll see you Monday. I'll be back here Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern. VIP members, I will see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. Watch your email for the information. I will see you before you know it. Bye for now. Love y'all. See you later. Remember to get creative today. You know it's easy. See you later. Bye.